What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table. My name is Marco, and I've been away from doing this a little bit, and the problem is that my cell phone, the camera went bad on it, and it was very close to where the new Galaxy S23 Ultra was going to be released. So I decided to wait until I could film in this phone that you see here. So let me know if you see. Supposedly the video quality should be much improved in this. So today we are going to be talking about the Briwn Brown knives Raptor, and let me give you a tour of the knife. And this is the St. Nick's knives exclusive. What they did with this model is that they have a couple of kind of standard ones, and then they did a whole series of them that are kind of sprint run specific to specific manufacturers. And the St. Nick knives, what it does is it has the black DLC coated hardware that you see in the clip and the pivot, in the thumb studs, in the back spacer as well. And it also has the marble carbon fiber with red accents scale on here. So what you've got here is from the bolster a little over 3¼ inches. So a really good size in my opinion, something that's still considered a full size without having too much excess blade. It is a thumb stud only deployment for this knife. What you have here is kind of it's a hollow blade, and hopefully that's coming across. Let me see if I can get you. Yeah, there you go. It's a hollow ground blade, which I really like hollow ground blades. And then you got hand rub satin on the flats. You got bell satin on the kind of swedge. And it's kind of a clip point, and it's got this area, and it's kind of, if you want to choke back here, your thumb lands on this jimping. But if you want to have more control, your thumb really lands perfectly on this area, and you have a lot of control there. So let me give you some size comparisons here, so you know kind of what we're talking about. Here it is against this Spyderco Para 3. And this here is the Spyderco Para 2. So I've always mentioned that kind of my ideal knife size, lengthwise, is right in between these two, right? As you can see, sharpened blade length, you've probably got even more on the Raptor than you got on the Para 2, even though it's if I equalize the end, even though it's a shorter knife. Again, the blade to length ratio on the Para 2 is not the best. So my ideal size, it always falls in between those two sizes. Let me show you thickness wise what this looks like. So it is not a very thick knife. It's a little bit thinner than the Para 3. And the Para 2, they're same thickness, and it also falls down fairly compact, as you can see, against the Para 3. Okay, this is a knife that you can that would fit. If I said that it would disappear in your pocket, then this for sure kind of fits that description. While it's closed, I can show you that's the full-size bug out, and this is the mini bug out. So in the pocket, it's a little bit thicker than the bug out, but maybe that's just because of the clip. But if I showed you like this, you know, they're not that dissimilar. So in the pocket, it's gonna feel very much like the full-size bug out. And if I deploy them, you can see the size comparison here. It's a little bit longer than the bug out, but I think if you have a bug out, it's very much in that realm. I think in your pocket, in carry, in weight, in thickness, and all of that, I think it'll be very similar to the bug out. Now, The bugger does carry deeper just because it, at least this version of it, came with a deep carry pocket clip. This one does not. You'll have that much sticking out of your pocket, but you'll be able to. But if you had to compare, how is it gonna, how much does it weigh, how does it carry, I think the bugger is probably your best bet. So let's start the review with ergonomics. And the ergonomics on this, I think, are gonna be phenomenal for people with medium or small hands. And let me tell you why. When I put it in my hand, this portion of the knife is super skinny, and the knife, I feel like I can't get a hold of it very well. I wear large gloves, and I feel like it's too small. It's too skinny for me. That's the truth. I think it's very comfortable. There's no hot spots. The jimping is very nice. The location of the thumb, of the thumb, I don't know what to call it, cutout, the thumb cutout here, right here, is very good. But it's way too skinny for my taste, and it didn't have to be, right? Because here you could easily have more scale without increasing the overall thickness of the knife, right? And on both sides, you could have done that. But this was designed to be it fits a smaller person's hands a lot better. If you see, when I try and grab it, my fingers hit the back of my hand before they actually wrap around the knife. If you see what happens when I hold a pair two, the pair two is much bigger in this dimension, so my hand actually, completely wraps around the handle without going too much around the handle. And in this case, it's a bit much. It's way skinny. Like my son, he's 12 going on 13, and it fit his hand perfectly. so just know that if you're wanting something that is smaller in your hand, I think this would be perfect. For larger hand, just be warned that this, although the ergonomics are very good, I don't think it's meant for big bear paws. If you wear large gloves or extra large gloves, I don't think you're gonna find this very comfortable to use if you're gonna do some work with it. So that's what I would say from the ergonomic standpoint. As for the rest, it's a fairly neutral handle. So reverse grips, hammer grips, saber grips, all of that is going to be very comfortable. It just disappears in my hand. It's too skinny. I feel like I can't really put my fingers around it. So let's talk about cutting. I loved cutting with this thing. It's not the thinnest blade stock in the world. Let me compare it here. It's a little bit thinner than the full thickness of the Para 2, a little bit thinner. Now, as I've mentioned before, because you get a full flat grind on the Para 2, it gets fairly thin by the time it gets down. But this one, because it has a hollow grind, anything like cutting rope, paracord, or shallow cuts, leather on a board, those kinds of things, it's great because the hollow means that it keeps a very thin edge from the tip right here to about right here, and then you start getting into a thicker edge. So for all of the cuts where you're not cutting through things, it still do a decent job, I would say. It came fairly sharp, but I would say if you're going to be slicing cardboard, I would say that apparently a Para 2 or a Para 3 is going to be a better choice for you, or even like something like a bug out. But if you're going to be cutting rope, paracord, zip ties, any of those kinds of things, well, zip ties kind of sort of, because this is kind of a thinner blade edge. But like I said, anything on a board, anything like that, I think this is going to be really good. You can You can choke up here. It's got like this flat spot and then kind of a finger choil. So you could come up here and you can do some kind of, carving or whittling with it. I did a little bit, not much. And again, it's because it's too thin for me. So I didn't do a lot of kind of heavier duty work like woodwork. So that's as far as cutting. You've got an M390 blade. I don't think it's marked anywhere. No, I didn't see it marked anywhere. So, but I think that's what it is. It's an M390 blade. Now, action. So it's thumb stud deployment only, which is not my favorite deployment method ever. It's kind of pretty far down the list. It's flipper first, spike flick second, maybe and maybe thumb stud is third. I think it's just I prefer a thumb than front flippers, but not by much. And the thumb stud is not really, it's not very comfortable. It's this round thing. It's got a sharp top edge. It's not very comfortable. When they do thumb stud only, I would prefer they did something like the triangular shape that they do in some of them. I know that Hoback knives have did that in the Zumo, such that when you push, the knife presents you with a flat face on the thumb stud. That's what I would really like, because it's much more comfortable to push against a flat face of a triangle. So they do like a little triangle here, and then you push against a flat face, and that's much more comfortable than pushing against, kind of a sharpish circle. It's just my preference, but it is very smooth. It's the lock bar tension is fairly strong. I don't know. I'm not sure why it's that strong. Maybe it's for I mean, the detail's pretty good, but what happens is that it's you don't get a drop shot action, right? You have to kind of shake it down. It's an okay action. It's not bad, but I don't think that this is a knife that you get if you're looking for the smoothest, the most fidgety knife that you can get. That's not what this one is. I think that the design of this one is very interesting, and I think that the fit and finish. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that Riyadh makes these. They have a fairly unique bell satin finish that I think is very, very good, and the fit and finish that they do on their knives is excellent. Here you have like a black wash titanium. You got the DLC coating on the hardware, on everything else. I really like that they did not do black coated blades. Usually, say Nick's knives, they do a red handle with a black blade. If you see like their Manix exclusives, or well, all of their Spyderco exclusives, it's a red scales and black DLC coated blades. But I like that they did the satin, because I just love the satin lines on Riyadh made knives. I think they do an excellent job. I think that the fit and finish, I've always said that regardless of how you feel about Riyadh and knives made in China, I think the fact that they've done so many knives for so many different designers, I think they've perfected their craft. I think they've perfected the way they do things, and I think it shows. Whether I like the design being so skinny, probably not, but that's not a fit and finish problem. It's more of a design choice problem. So I think my airing of grievances is for me and my large hands. I think it's this very very narrow handle that you've got here. It's the fact that you don't have a flipper tab, which I would have very much liked to have, and that the only deployment method is this thumb stud, that it's not very comfortable. Other than that, I think that the knife is a very good choice, especially this narrow handle. If you've got medium hands or small hands, I think you'll find this knife a treat. This one is probably not going to stay in my collection. Probably going to sell it. and that's because yeah, like I said, yeah, I struggle to get a hold of it because it's so small that my hand kind of wraps all the way around it like twice, right? So not a lot to complain here. I think, oh, I want to say it's a very light knife. You know, you've got carbon fiber on one scale and fairly thin. So the knife balances kind of where you want it to balance, you know, right around your index finger, but it feels very light and very fast. It's, you know, it should be top heavy or front heavy, but it's not. And because it's so light, because of the carbon fiber scale, it feels like a very, very fast knife. It's very nimble. You know, it feels like an extension of your hand. Very, very nice. So guys, hopefully this has been helpful to you. I'm sorry that I was absent for a little while. If you enjoyed the video, and if I earned it, then like and subscribe. And until I see you at the next one, take care.